In this next episode of the Waboripedia, the figure behind the ink interview series, where we sit down with respected Horishi or traditional Japanese tattooers from all around the world, we will be sitting down with Dan Molloy. Dan Molloy is an Australia-based Horishi whose evolving style marries incredible design with centuries-old tradition. Join me as we sit down with Dan Molloy and learn more about the figure behind the ink. Mr. Dan Molloy, thank you so much for joining.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I've been looking forward to having you here. A lot of people have also been asking me to have you here. So happy that finally you're here and we get to talk to you a little bit. You're based out of Perth, Australia, right?
Yes. Yep, that's great.
All right, very cool. So you're killing it over in Australia. For a lot of folks from Australia actually listening in, so I'm sure they know you, and if they don't know you, they're about to get to know you a lot better. So,
yep,
awesome. All right, so let's just get right to it. So why don't we start from the beginning? Like, can you walk us through what's your background in tattooing, and how did you get involved with Wabori?
Sure. So I started tattooing very young. I started my apprenticeship when I was 15. There was a local shop. They actually used to advertise in newspaper in the job section. And I've come across that one day. I was already out of school and I was looking to get a tattoo apprenticeship, and I think I just enrolled actually to do like a fine art course. So I fobbed that off immediately. I drew up a portfolio in like 2 days and walked into the interview they did, and there must have been 60 or 70 people there, sort of thing. It was like, because they cast such a wide net, they just grab everybody and interview them all. And, I ended up, I didn't hear back from them for a few months. I think it was probably like a bit before my 16th birthday. I don't think they knew how old I was. They didn't ask, and I didn't tell them. Yeah, and eventually I got a call back and started there, and I've pretty much been working in tattooing ever since. I'm 30 now, so 15 years. That shop was a little bit of a mess. There were some really good things that came out of it. I was lucky enough. I got to start off with a bunch of guys who were really good with the Japanese work to begin with.
Bam.
I worked with Garth Neal, who's working in Sydney now, and Hank, who still works quite close to my shop, and Paul and Jamie August, who's actually passed away recently. But I think they were pretty instrumental to exposing me to that stuff early on. After that, I actually went and did a second apprenticeship at a shop a little bit further north in Perth, called Abandoned Art. And I met my mentor, John Pinder, he's the guy who really taught me the fundamentals of tattooing. Like he showed me how to make needles, the basics of building machines, and he exposed me to a lot of work, Jeff Gogway and Shige, all this sort of stuff at the time. A lot of books. He was also really big into biomech. So he had me reinventing the tattoo by Guy Aitchison quite early on, and it was like a manual to build rockets or something like that at the time. I didn't understand a word of it, but later on it started to make a lot more sense as I got further into tattooing. From there, I think I spent about 10 years, I suppose, as a generalist. I guess I just started small, and then moved up to doing tribal, and then moved on to doing more like neo-traditional stuff. Learned how to do portraits. That became a big thing for me in kind of like the middle part of my career. there wasn't really anyone doing portraits in Perth at the time. So it really took off because there was no competition at all. There was a guy in Perth who called Riley, used to run a shop called Riley's here, who was phenomenal. But he was getting a bit old and he started to wind down. It was just an untapped market. So it wasn't something that I really, really enjoyed doing, but everyone wanted them and I wanted them to get a good portrait. So, and I knew I could do it. So I did it. And I'd say they got to a point about 5 or 6 years ago where I was starting to reassess my career, and I was like, I didn't get into tattooing just to replicate a photo over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Like, I love the artwork. I love drawing. That's why I started. So, I think a lot of people who want to know more about Japanese work and Wabori, they feel like they don't know where to start. The thing, like, there's a lot of phenomenal tattooers out there who could do it technically, but they don't know where to begin. And you just gotta put one foot on the ladder and start climbing. You know what I mean? So I just started collecting books and reading and talking to people, and started doing some small kind of one-shot tattoos. I'd already done, some Japanese work in the past, but just started to try and push it. I was lucky enough to do a guest spot at Black Garden in London, and when I was there, I met Tucci and Calpanero. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And Cesar Mesquita. I did a bit of an apprenticeship with him building tattoo machines, which is another thing that I was doing for some time. And me and him had a lot of conversations on, because I know Tucci had started off doing traditional, and he'd made the transition over to doing Wabori. And I was like, how did he do it? How did he start? Got a lot of really great advice from them. How to get started, and I think I was ready to listen at that point. And just went from there. Just built up. Eventually, a few people do their backs. I think a lot of people probably struggle with the same thing outside of Japan. People, when they want to get their back done, they just want to get the back done. They don't want to do the butt. They don't want to do the thighs. So, you start off doing a back piece, like just the back, but it's not the right way to do it. And you say, like, hey man, it's not weird. Like, we're going to do your butt as well, sort of thing. And someone will get it. And then once people see that you've done it, then they'll let you do it. And then you go, hey man, I'm just going to bring it like that, a little bit past your butt, sort of thing, and start showing them examples. Some of them eventually will give you a shot. And then you got to the point where it's like, okay, now I can show people, like, this is the correct way to do it. And people started to be a little bit more open to it. And also building up your ability to talk to the clients and explain things to them. It comes with confidence in your work and confidence that you know what you're talking about, and you can explain it. Because if you can't explain it succinctly, even if it's the right information, they're not going to hear it, But yeah, that's a very short down version of how I got to where I am right now, I guess.
That's very cool. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people all around the world know you're fantastic with the non-Japanese stuff. Let's just really be crude and just put it in that bucket, non-Japanese. Amazing work that you do with that. But then also you do amazing work with Japanese. That's what blows my mind. You're so good, and you get it right, because some people obviously they might not know, and they might get a thing or two off, or maybe a lot off. but you get it right. So that's very interesting. And
I think a lot of people do forget that as well as the tattooer involved, there's also the client involved. So sometimes, even though the tattooer might know what they're doing, they're not able to express it to the client, and it does take time to even if you want to do it right, sometimes you can't. I think clients, once you've got a bit of a reputation, they tend to trust you. But you need to be able to explain things in a way that's not aggressive, not harsh, and kind of lead them to the water, not force them to drink, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. So actually, that leads me to my next question that I was wondering myself. So I already said that obviously you do some amazing machine work, but then I know that you're also working with Tebori, with the traditional hand poke, hand carve method. So I don't know what you can share about your journey using the Tebori technique, and then why did you even pick it up in the first place?
Yep. So with the body, I'm still very, very new to it. So I can't speak with any level of expertise on it. I was fortunate that, like I said, when I was an apprentice, I did make so I did make needles. Yeah. The whole way through my apprenticeship, all the needles were made by me, me and my mentor. So that was one boundary that was already out of the way. I've had a few people show me things to do with Wabori over the years, needle groupings and just some basic techniques. The thing, I don't know if you know a lot about Perth, but it is a very isolated city. It's probably 2,000, maybe 2,300 kilometers until the next major city from here. So with a whole lot of desert in between. So if you're waiting around for somebody to show you how to do things, you might be waiting a while. So sometimes I think if you want to know something, just gotta do it yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's not going to be some chance encounter where someone's going to be like, hey, you seem enthusiastic, let me show you how to do the body. So yeah, my experience with it so far has been just the same way I learned to tattoo, just chipping away on my own thighs and then moving on to doing very small, 1 hour, 2 hour tattoos on friends. And then now I'm slowly starting to introduce it to some clients, mainly all people I'm already doing their backs or something like that. They might get excited about it, or something on their thigh or something like that. Yeah, I think it'll still be a long road for me. There's some parts of it that are not quite as challenging as we expected them to be at the beginning, and some parts, like doing the grey shading is very, very difficult. And I have a profound amount of respect for people who do all their backgrounds with the body, and I'd like to get to the point where I can do that eventually. It's not that I want to just do that. It's too early for me to say that I'll just tattoo that way. But I suppose anything that I want to know how to do that I don't know how to do bother me until I go out of my way to learn it. Yeah. Like I just want to know everything about tattoo. And I'm just kind of following that.
That's awesome, because actually old Japanese masters, they also began by teaching themselves and learning little by little, and they would work on their thighs. And I remember also hearing of some Horishi working on vegetables and stuff like that to practice. Yep. So it's really cool that you're figuring it out and you're chipping away little by little. Not that that's anything bad, right? Because I think you have some work on Instagram, right, that you've done, Tebori?
Yeah, I have a few. Yeah, I was a little bit dubious about putting it up to begin with. The stuff I was doing, I wanted to keep it kind of in-house, but now it's been, I'd say, well, maybe not quite a year, but it's been a little while, and I'm just putting a thing up every now and again just to show some people, like, this is what I'm doing. But still, if people contact me for work that's too large, it's like, because I'm not interested in hurting people, you know what I mean? If I have a flaw in my technique, I prefer for it to be on a tattoo that's that big rather than something that's large that is going to actually, do some damage. So we take our time, like check back and make sure everything's healed well, and get the experience from the client, what was it like while it was healing, because sometimes something might heal well, but I find this even earlier on in my machine work as well, it comes back nice, but you need to know what the experience was like while it was healing as well, because sometimes you could be pushing it right to the edge, and it's like, it might not hit him. It might be, if you hit it one more time, it's gone, sort of thing, and they've had gnarly scabs, and I want to stop short of that, so the healing experience is comfortable as well. So just following up with the clients, making sure everything's going well, one at a time. Do one, let it heal, hear how it went, and do another one, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm slowly starting to introduce it. Once you put something on Instagram, it's kind of there. So
Yeah.
take your time.
That's awesome. No, but
No rush.
they look great. In fact, I looked at it and I couldn't tell, but well, I saw some recent Tebori pictures, the work, and then I saw you with the obviously with the tool, and I sort of figured, hey, maybe he's sort of introducing it, but just looking at the tattoo itself, you couldn't really tell, hey, he's in the beginning stages, if you will, of it, right? Because they look pretty good. So
Thanks.
that's awesome. And it's also awesome because your clients, at least let's say somebody getting a bodysuit, they get to be part of that journey as you evolve and develop your own style and all that stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I've got the best clientele I think in the world as well. Like anyone who's worked in the shop with us will tell you my clients are far and away the best. They're just great people. And I think my enthusiasm tends to rub off on them, and then we're all very excited. We'll kind of have a common goal, so they're really, really fun to work with, and they've been very supportive with the body stuff as well.
That's awesome. And the Tebori work, is it all Tebori, or are you outlining by machine?
No, outlining by machine.
Okay.
I probably will look at lining with the body as well at some point. I think it might just be a bit much to bite off all at once. Same, I'm still using dynamic black, like bottle black. I'm working on learning the Grand Sumi and stuff like that, but that'll be. I need to practice. I need to be back to on my own thighs, just making sure I've got the gradients right, stuff like that, before I introduce it to anyone else, sort of thing, just to be safe. But even my needle making technique has developed a lot in the time I've been doing it. I've had one person show me once how to make the body needles, and then it was probably another 2 years before I actually did it again. So I kind of had a vague recollection of what he showed me, and then I had a recollection of how I was making needles, for machine tattooing when I was an apprentice, and I just kind of mashed it together, and just a bit of trial and error from there. And finding supplies as well in Australia, ordering things from Japan, the things that I need, or different people, different places. So I think, there's a lot to it. It's more than just grabbing some needles and poking the ink in the skin. There's a whole back end that I think people who haven't done it don't really appreciate before you even touch skin. There's a lot of new skills you need to learn that you don't need necessarily for machine tattooing.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And that's an amazing memory you have to be able to to remember that 2 years later. So awesome. Cool. Awesome. Really looking forward to seeing how it develops. But sort of like changing gears drastically here, I'm curious if you have like a favorite subject to tattooing.
Yeah. I've seen you ask some other guests this, and I always think about it. I don't know. I love doing dragons. Like, I think most tattooers never get bored of doing dragons. You can do them 1,000 different ways, and you could make a career out of just doing dragons. Same with the Fudo. I've done a few. I've done a back and a front. I'd like to do a few more. I like doing shoki. I think a lot of my work that I'm starting now more like Suikoden heroes, which has been kind of new for me. There's a lot more work with, like the patterns and stuff like that, garments, and you're very lucky. Most of those prints are kind of made, almost seem like they're made for backs anyway. So, but yeah, it could change day to day. For a long time, I was trying to talk a client into getting a Tera no Tomomori, and I managed to get, actually, after like 2-3 years of trying, everyone was like, really into that. I managed to get 2 that I started with like a week. So I scratched that itch. Yeah, so I don't know now. Yeah, just whatever the client brings. Sometimes the clients are a little bit vague, they'll be like, because they don't know everything and they don't need to, that's my job. So like, they'll be like, I want a samurai with a dragon. So I might make a list of characters that have heroes and dragons and tell them the stories, and then, they might pick the one they like best, or they might be like, they all sound great, you grab the one you want, sort of thing. Or, we also look at what they've already got, because very few people will come in with no tattoos already. So, someone like the guy yesterday had a koi on his back, koi on his lower leg. He's like, what do I do for the rest of the leg? And it's like, most likely it's going to be a koi. We put a Nikami on there as well, dragon turtle. But sometimes you're just informed by what they already have.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So actually, sort of like jumping here, because I know I always send people a list of questions, but jumping one ahead, because you mentioned Suikoden. So do you actually have a favorite Suikoden character or a scene?
Yeah. I sometimes have trouble remembering the names in Japanese. I remember Chinese names better. I like Lu Zixuan. Lu Zixuan, the drunken priest.
Yeah, kosher.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of guilty. So when I was first getting exposed to the Suikoden, I was listening. There's a podcast. I'm not sure if I think maybe a lot of English-speaking people were exposed through the Outlaws of the Marsh podcast, and I was listening to it fairly early on. So I think I probably got about halfway through it, binged it, and then I got up to the point where he was current on the episodes, and then I was like, I'll wait for a few to get released before I get back into it, and then I never go back into it. So I haven't actually finished the story, which bugs me constantly. But there's a few parts in the story that definitely stick out to me. Yeah, the drunken priest, also Goeja Busho fighting the tiger barehanded. I think is a very powerful scene. There's one part, I can't remember the characters involved. There's a pretty long drawn out love scene or betrayal scene. It was a bit later in the story, but I can't remember specifically the details, so I won't speak on it too much. But I remember it was quite funny to me as well. But I want to finish that. Yeah, until then, I've gotten very familiar with all the prints, obviously, through tattooing and showing them through clients, through my books and stuff like that. But yeah, finishing the story is definitely high on my list. It's like, when you start a TV show and you might watch the first half of the season and get pulled away for some reason, and you're like, now I need to watch that part that I already watched again, because otherwise if I pick up where I was at, I've forgotten how it started. So yeah, I'll spend some time with some headphones in over the next year or so and finish the story, so I have a full rounded out understanding of what actually goes on, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, the podcast, there's also a YouTube video that I like to share with people. It's relatively short. I can't even remember how long it is, but given how long the real book is, then the video is actually pretty short, and it's pretty cool if you want to get the bite-sized version of it. So,
oh yeah, cool. I like the way the story was written, where it's almost like a relay race. It's like it'll follow one character through his unfortunate journey to becoming an outlaw, and then he'll meet the next character, jump onto that character, and carry on. And it's almost, I think, it almost does read like a TV show or something like that. It's like, I think, there is the downside to that is up until, I'm sure, the final conclusion, it almost is like a TV show, whereas like it's very episodic and you can kind of drop it. Almost like a collection of short stories that it's kind of coming to something, but it's going to be way down the road. So, and it's a very long story as well, but it's great. I love it. I think it's a really good insight to Chinese culture at the time as well, which is very kind of different to our modern sensibilities. And the podcast is great for that because the host on there, I forget his name, but he'll explain a lot of things to you that may not be kind of like, common knowledge especially if you're from the Western world, and don't have a lot of background in Chinese history.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I've always thought, hey, well, why isn't there like a TV show? I know there's a couple of TV shows in China, right, about the story, but usually they take out the nastiness because these characters are real nasty. So they take that out, and then there's not a legit TV show of it. I wish somebody would make it. That'd be awesome to actually watch.
Yeah, but part of me does want there to be almost like an animated show or something to do with it. I think would be really fun, but at the same time, I don't know if a lot of other people who work in Japanese work struggle with this, but as soon as they make an animated show, as soon as you Google their character's name, you're going to find it's anime a lot of the time. So it makes it much more difficult searching for references if you don't have everything in the books. So for that reason, I'm kind of glad. But yeah, I think the more people exposed to a story, the better for our purposes, for sure, because they're awesome. They're so much fun.
Awesome. And so in terms of like your next piece, maybe you sort of mentioned it already, but is there like a figure or I don't know, a design that you'd like to tattoo but haven't had the chance yet?
I've been pretty lucky. Most of my clients are fairly open to what I might like to do. I like the Kabuki design, the spirit of the Shishi. Like the girl with the red hair, and I'd like to do one of those. Yeah, I've forgotten the name. But yeah, that's a design that I really like, and I would like to tattoo at some point. There's some more feminine designs, which I think would fit better on women. I think I probably will get to do soon. There's a few girls who are asking, they don't want, like a super masculine, warrior type back piece. So we're kind of going through a consultation process, figuring out exactly what they want. Because most of the stuff I've done, most of my clients, especially in the last few years, have been 6'6", big boys, and they want masculine tattoos sort of thing. And it has gone that way quite a lot. It'd be nice to try and do some stuff a bit more feminine. But I'm happy with the work. If I ever want to do something, for the most part, my clients are pretty open to it. Sure.
Okay. Awesome. Well, there you have it. We need more ladies to get more Wabori gear by then. Awesome. Cool. And then sort of before we dive into some of your tattoos, because we got about four works, but let me ask you this: what can you tell us about your colors and your composition style?
Yeah. So basically, I don't have a master. Generally, in Japanese tattooing, I think your backgrounds will take after your masters, and I don't have one. So when I first started, I think I was every tattoo I do, I'd grab a little bit here and a little bit from there. I might be like super excited on Horitoshi that day, and I'm going to try a Horitoshi background, and then discover some Horiyuno. It's like, okay, now I'm doing all black, just like a few little clouds and maybe one little swirl, and then and I was like, if I'm wanting to be a professional at this, as much as I love everything and I can nerd out on everything, I need to pick one thing and stick to it. I think everyone if you're an artist, you need to choose at some point, because otherwise you're just replicating what everyone does, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with that. The same, like early in my career when I was doing neo-traditional, I was in love with the work of Jasmine Austin, who was working here in Perth, and I wanted to be just like her. And I was like, well, I'm not going to trace her work, but I'm going to do as close to it as I can, without getting in trouble, sort of thing. And then you hit the crossroads, the fork in the road, where it's like, okay, like, actually, like, this part of the work I'm doing, I think I can do my own way. Maybe I'm just going to change the nose, and then, the next one you do, oh, maybe I'm going to try something new with the eyes. And eventually you get in your lane, and after you kind of learn it, that's your style. And it almost comes naturally. You almost can't lose it if you've got it. So that kind of happened with my Japanese work as well. I was like, okay, well, what do I like for me? And I started to just try and be consistent, I guess, for the sake of my clientele as well, because they don't want to, they might choose me as an artist based on what they see on Instagram, and then they might get a completely different tattoo, which is not fair to them. It's like I want things to be, so I want to be a safe option for them, I guess. I want to know what they're going to get. I think I'm most influenced by Horicho. I really, really love Horicho's work, and I'm not trying to be exactly like Horicho, but I think that's probably where I'll stay, is in that kind of realm. Lately, she's not an apprentice anymore. She's graduated now, but our ex-apprentice, she was kind of taking after my work, learning background from me, and then now she's started to see, work by Horikazu. She's like, oh wow, I really like that. Maybe slightly, finer line weights, slightly thinner backgrounds. His waves are very different to the type of waves I tend to do. And she's on paper drawing a lot, trying to figure that out. And I think that's great, because eventually, she's going to have the fork in the road as well, where she's going to branch off from the way I do things. And that's really exciting to me, saying, she's taken a bit of an initiative and following her own love for the art style as well. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Before we dive into the pictures, I actually have a couple comments. One is that actually, if people take a look through your Instagram, like maybe the style, evolves and changes, like you were mentioning, but at least they know they're getting some awesome work, because everything looks fantastic. I gotta put that out there.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
I mean, technically, I know I can put in a nice tattoo, regardless of what we do with it. Like it's just going to be in there. It's going to stay there. And that's 10 years of tattooing before I really touch Japanese work properly. Is I'm confident with my technical abilities, being able to give people a nice tattoo. They're going to be happy with, Yeah.
And then another comment that you made, and let me actually preface this. One of the pictures that we're going to be looking at, I think it's the last one, is quite recent. I don't know if it was done recently, but at least you shared it recently on Instagram. And when I looked at it, I didn't say it, but I thought, hey, that looks very inspired by Boricho. And then now I hear you say that, and look at that. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I suppose you got to remember with these backs as well, it might take a year or two to complete. So what you see on Instagram, it's not like that instant gratification when you're doing small tattoos. You do a small tattoo, you post it up, everyone's like, man, you're great. And you get that validation, and then, you do the next one. It's like, it's a long process. So the work you're seeing on Instagram now has probably started 2 years ago. And, the stuff we're starting now, you're not going to see for another 2 years. So I think my work has started. I'm happy with how my work has started to look more and more consistent as I figure out how I like to draw things and how I like to approach things. I think I'm excited with the stuff that I'm working on now. I think it's going to look really nice as a collection of work. I am hoping still that I'll continue to improve. I am very happy with the way things are going with the work I'm working on right now. And that is, I think, is the first one I've completed in the style that I really think my work will continue to follow after from now on.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, let me start sharing my screen. All right, so in here, I think you know the drill already. I'll hand it over to you. You can walk us through whatever you want to say, and then maybe I'll have a sprinkle of comments that I'll add at the end.
Yeah, sure. So this is a guy called Jim. He's one of the guys I was talking about. He's incredibly tall. You can't always tell from the photos. Maybe you can tell in relation to the screen. He's like looking straight over there, but he's a big boy. So a lot of work. on this one. The design is Enma. He's the figure who will judge souls upon their death. And my understanding, the 16 possible hells he can send you to. It's not like a Christian hell where you're there for eternity. You're there for a set amount of time, and then you be reincarnated. The prayers of the living can affect that amount of time. Also affect whether you are reincarnated onto Earth or into heaven, so to speak. This was actually originally I did a painting of Enma during our COVID lockdown. We had a few months. I did a series of 4 paintings, and I don't really paint all that much. I never really have. But working into our lockdowns, I was trying to keep my my work rituals intact. I didn't want to just sit on the couch and watch TV for those few months. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get some sheets and do some big paintings, and just work my regular work day. Like I'd start tattooing 11, I'd start painting at 11, paint till about 5 or 6, and then knock off, and maybe do some other stuff in the afternoon, but try to keep my schedule consistent. So I did the 4, and then I did a painting of Enma that I never actually finished. I got probably within half an hour of painting of finishing it. And then we came out of lockdown, and I put it to the side and never looked at it again. But he had seen the painting and he liked it. The painting I did, I think I was still, with the painting I was working on, I was still working out my backgrounds and stuff. And it was more just like a proof of concept, how I wanted to approach them. So I suppose it was a little bit more on the neo-traditional side of things. I was still figuring some stuff out. The painting had the mirror in the top corner, which I think it looked good on paper, but I wasn't sure it was going to look so great on a back piece. With the way it would have gone over his lap, I don't think I would have got it to look straight unless I made it tiny. He liked the painting. I redrew it pretty much totally from scratch, and drew the Oni. The original painting had his desk that he was leaning on as well, and I decided to try and do a full body. Yeah, this guy was really, really consistent getting the work done, so we got through it quite quickly. Great client, one of the best. He's really, really, really good. Anyone who's got their back tattooed knows it's not easy, and some people make it look easy. He was one of them. He was really, really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like this piece because it's a rather limited color palette, but that's one of the things that makes it special. It really makes it pop. The black and the red and the gray and all that stuff. Obviously,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Earlier on in doing Japanese work, it was easier to sell. I don't know. I think everyone was in like a black gray, spot. And if you wanted to put some color into things, it's easier to sell more of like the, the limited color palette, brown, yellow. And I love the way it looks as well. Now I'm starting to maybe reintroduce a little bit more color, but still very limited. Like, this might be 3 colors. I might maybe push it to like 4 or 5, but not really more than that unless I have a specific request. But yeah, just the red and the brown and a little bit of yellow. I think it looks really great.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like what you did with the, I heard that you said that you were experimenting still when you were doing this this piece, but then you can see the order of the background elements is proper, right? You got the stones there, the Oni or the demons are standing on the stones, and then, I don't know, is he sitting on a stone or something? He's sitting on something, right?
Yeah, I had to give him some sort of stone to sit on. If there's a character affected by gravity, say, for me, they need to be standing on something solid. You can't have them floating in the sky. So yeah, originally at one point I did think about giving him like a straw mat to sit on, but I ended up going with the stone instead. Yeah, it's just a decision I made and just rolled with it. So
No, it looks good, right? So I'm mentioning it because I think it looks great. It looks like a great a choice,
Thank you.
obviously. And then obviously I love the patterns that you're putting the dragon. There's a dragon there. If people didn't notice, no, this is fantastic. You know, I think I shared this picture before on the Waboripedia IG and Instagram, and it got a lot of people loving it. So really good piece. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's roll on to the next one.
Sure.
All right.
Oh yeah. So this is a Kurikara Fugo. It's a manifestation of the Fudomo. This guy is Jake Guad. He's a tattooer. He was working with me at the time. Really good friend of mine. He'd been talking for a while about getting a dragon on his back. I did another painting for him during lockdown as well. A lot of these were born out of the work I was doing in lockdown. I drew more like a front-on dragon originally, and he really liked that. But by the time we actually got around to starting some appointments on him, I was in the same spot where I didn't like paintings anymore. And I was like, let me draw you something new. I've been wanting to do one of these for a while, so I drew it up and he liked it. Off we went. This is another one. We got it done pretty quickly. Because we worked together, it was easy. I probably had him in every second week, I'd say. And we got through it quite quickly. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. It was a lot of fun. He already had his front done by Jasmine Austin. So trying to make sure we didn't leave any like strange rib gaps. So the background on the sides there actually goes around quite far, and we went all the way around his neck, finished his collar as well over his shoulders. I think it's really important to not leave him with any strange gaps that they're going to have to, try and fill later, or also leave it in a position where if someone else wants to extend it later, it's going to be relatively easy for him.
Yeah.
Because it's not all about, with this work, I suppose you're kind of looking forward to what does the bodysuit look like. It's not about just what we do now, close the door and walk away. You got to think a bit more long term. So a lot of stuff we do is kind of informed by that. So yeah, I think there might be a chance he'll extend his legs. I don't know with me or with someone else, but try and leave it to the point where he can do that if he chooses. It's not going to be ridiculously difficult for someone else to pick up where I've left off, I would hope.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward piece in terms of commenting on different elements. Rather straightforward composition, but it looks so good, it looks so powerful. So I really wanted to share. I think the name of your studio is also alludes to this piece. Yeah. I think that
I was tattooing him, my business partner. He was like, "What are we going to call the shop?" And I was working on this tattoo, and I was like, "Yeah, just call it that." Maybe it's like a little bit of my contrarian nature that I gave my shop a name that nobody here can pronounce. But yeah, it is what it is. We enjoy it. I think that works.
That's awesome. Again, this really great piece. I really like the dragon face on this one actually. So pretty cool. And then obviously also like what you did with the Mikiri. It's also very, very nice. So that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, this is one of those things that you can't really go wrong with. So it's always nice to put it up there.
For sure.
Cool. All right. Let's see what else we got here.
All right. Cool. This is an interesting one. This guy's name is Kane. He already had his shorts done by Hank locally when he came to me. So that was a kind of a unique challenge because we needed to extend the background up, which I've not had to do before. Normally, that would be the last area people had if they're going to do anything. He originally asked for, he wanted, I think maybe it was a giant Noakubi, like a lady, Namakubi on his whole front. I think we talked about it. I don't particularly love doing giant heads, especially on a back, maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on the person's back. Like if they have a fairly deep dip in their spine, it can change the way the face looks. But on a front, it's really difficult because, you know, obviously you've got your pecs and your belly button, and you need to work around all that. Just like a slight warp in a lady face can make it look pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
You can do the best design ever on paper, and then you stick it on, and it can look really strange. So I was kind of talking to him about it. He came in for the consult just for his friend. He's like, "Oh, I want a whole suit." I was like, "Well, in that case, what do you want on your back?" And he showed me a photo of Benki. And I was like, "Okay, so do a Benki. What can we do that's going to kind of be consistent? I know you want a lady on your front." I was thinking of the story of Benki's standing death.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you've heard the story, but they say like Benki died protecting a bridge, and no one was brave enough to go near him, so they shot him up with arrows. And they could see in the distance he was still standing up. And eventually someone got the courage to go over and see him, and he was dead on his feet. So I was like, okay, we'll do a Benki. We got arrows in the background, and then I was thinking, what's the female character that has arrows? Because he's dead. I probably would have preferred with him not to do so many human characters on him. But he likes warriors. That's what he wanted. So, Kane's probably one guy. Well, we will go back and forth quite a lot and argue about things, and there's been compromise kind of both ways with him, which is, I think, actually deepens the relationship. I think if we're both comfortable saying what we want, and not, you know, taking it too personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a Suikoden hero, Unryu Ichijosei. She's doing the Matrix thing, cutting up the arrows. Yeah. And it seemed to fit. Yeah. So we eventually did his whole suit. We only finished it just the other week, or maybe just a few days ago. We outlined the whole thing. We did his armpits as well, which he was super confident about. He's like, yeah, we'll knock out both the armpits, all the background, and get them out of the way, sort of thing, in one session. And I was like, no, you won't. And ended up, we work on an armpit, and then when he'd had enough, then we'd move over to the wrist or something, you know, for the rest of the session. Just give him something there, he could catch his breath a little bit. Just kind of chipped away at it until it was finished. But yeah, so he's got the Benki on his back, got the sleeves, and then when he was done with that, then we extended from his knees down to his ankles. That was another bit of a shit fight with him. He wanted a Fusion Rajan on his lower legs, but he already had a fair amount of water on his thighs. I said, I'm Fusion Rajan clouds background, we're not going to put that underneath water on your suit. So just do some koi. And sometimes it can be hard convincing people koi is the way to go, even though they look great. And I think what we did do on his legs does look great. He loves, you know, human-esque characters, and that's what he wanted, sort of thing. So this is like the first time late in the process that I managed to convince him to get, you know, like something a bit more natural and animal or something like that. And I think he is actually really pleased with the result, I hope. Yeah, but I mean, we smashed out his whole suit in a bit over a year. He was really, really consistent. Yeah, tough guy.
Awesome. You know, this is obviously, again, awesome piece. Many things I want to say, so I'll just randomly throw them as they come to mind. But one thing I like a lot is just the patterns and the elements in the clothing of the warrior. Right, you got the peonies there; they look really cool. Then you got that, I don't even know what to call that, right? But the green armor thing there is also pretty awesome. And then you know, it's funny that you mentioned he has a Benkei on his back, because I was thinking, hey, this is a very hero heavy suit with the three characters in there, and then you just say, hey, he's got something else in the back. But that's cool. That's a concept, right? That's a special concept.
That's what he wanted. And
you
know, at the end of the day, what's most important is that he's happy with what he gets.
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. It doesn't matter what the internet thinks, or you know, if he's dead set that's what he wants, then that's what he gets. You know, and you know, then I'll do my best to make it the best version of what he wants that he can get. But what's really, really important to me is that my clients are happy with what they get, because no one else is going to wear it but them.
That's awesome. No, but this that's actually awesome. Genuinely, it does look great. It's a concept. I love it, because many different warriors, many different stories, and then I also like how you said that, because this is important, right? You said, hey, you already got water on your legs, we can't put clouds in there, right? That's not right. And then you kind of steer the decision towards more water elements. So that's very important. That's very cool to hear that you're doing that sort of stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I even like just down on his wrist, you can't see, or maybe a little bit on his right arm there. There's some water like right at the base of his wrists, and that's kind of just above that. Halfway up the forearm is kind of where his horizon is, so to speak, where it turns into clouds. And I was like, we can get away with a bit of water down here, because I was already sure we were doing water on the legs, sort of thing, but much higher than the waist. I didn't want any water up there, or no clouds below. It's like gravity.
Yeah,
you wouldn't see clouds on the water. It's happening. So.
Cool. Again, this is just fantastic. I think I don't know if I can't recall right now if you have like different angles of a suit, but that'd be pretty cool to see just the complete thing.
Yeah, I've got a few. A lot of these suits, actually, I've got some really nice professional photos done that a friend of mine has been taking for me, but I haven't put them online or anything. I've just been collecting them. It's kind of like a personal collection. These are just like iPhone, just grab the photo,
and
whack it up. Because the way I look at Instagram is usually just more of like a portfolio. People need somewhere to go to see my work if they want to book in with me, and I'll keep some stuff on there for people to see. But the professional photography and stuff is a little bit more personal to me. I think I'll probably make something out of it eventually, but I've got a lot of like angles and close-ups of a lot of stuff. I'll do something one day, but
yeah, that's awesome. No, I was about to say you could. I would be interested if you put a book out there. That'd be awesome to see.
Yeah, maybe one day. I don't want to put out some anemic book with only like 20 suits in it. It'd probably be something I'll work on for maybe another 10-15 years or something like that. Like put out something fat,
Cool. All right. I think we're on to this is the last one.
Yep. Cool. Unryu Kuro. So this guy, he already had a sleeve by Trevor McStay. Can't actually see it, it's on the other side. But, that was pretty exciting to me. Trevor McStay is a real idol of mine. He actually asked me not to share his name, so I won't. Right early on, he's like, you can put photos online, but, don't don't mention me. I never did pry into why, but this is another guy. I mean, all the guys you picked, I'm happy with the ones you've chosen, because these are probably some of my favorite clients, and some of the most enjoyable experiences, I suppose, in my career is working with these people. He was one. Again, like I said, he said he wanted a samurai and a dragon. I gave him a couple of different options. He liked this one. I've been trying to get someone to get a dragon with green in it for a while, because most people like black and red, maybe a bit yellow on the spine. This is the first chance I got to do a bit of more color. He also, like I was saying with the color palette, he made a special request at one point that he get some purple in there. So in his mystical sword there. I put a little bit of purple behind the pattern, which actually I really like the way it turned out, just having like a little bit of purple on there. But yeah, here's another guy who's in every 2 weeks. We finished it fairly quickly. Yeah, it was probably the first of the, I suppose, like a group of backs I'm working on at the moment that I feel like I managed to fall into a pocket with the way I was drawing things that I'm really happy with, and I want to continue to put out more stuff like this. A little bit more grey in the background than I was doing before. Like with Jake's Kurikara just before, like there's a lot more black, a lot more, I suppose, what I would call kind of like floating clouds, where like the clouds don't attach to anything, they kind of come out of black. And there's still a little bit of that in this, but instead of doing sets of maybe 3 clouds and then just black into it, I've maybe extended those a little bit more and tried to, I don't really like the clouds when it's just like all in a straight line, you know. I kind of wanted to stagger out a little bit and look kind of intentionally random, and just trying a few little like new things, just little slight adjustments to the way I was doing things. I don't like it when things get too grey, and because it needs that black. The black just like launches the color forward, you know. And we need to keep. I probably wouldn't make it any more grey than this, but yeah, just working some things out, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, this is an amazing piece. I really love what you're doing with patterns, man. This is really cool. I love to see patterns on clothing, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you very
much.
That means a lot, because I found it pretty difficult. Because yeah, you don't want to, you know, if you have like a small circular pattern with, you know, nothing in between, I don't want to do 3 different layers of all different small circular patterns. Same with kind of like mirrored repeating patterns. I don't want to do, you know, multiple different layers of those. So it's like thinking of something that's kind of unique and different. Like the pattern in his shorts is actually from the woodblock print that it came from. In that large area down there, I was thinking about doing all black, and I was like, you know, I can actually, because a lot of these will be based on woodblock prints, not all of them. Like I've done plenty of backs where I've just drawn something new. I did a Kiyohime on a friend of mine that just when I was drawing it, I was like, I'm just gonna draw something total departure from what we've seen in the woodblock prints, and just try and get more reference just from the story. But this one, yes, was a reference from the woodblock print, and so I kind of took little parts of woodblock print and kept them, and then some stuff I was like, okay, now I'm going to reimagine this a little bit. I think I changed his face and his hair quite a lot, I think. But yeah, no, I was happy with how the patterns came up with this one.
Yeah, cool.
It's one of those things. Sometimes it can be hard to, unless you like do like a color study or something, it can be hard to envision how the colors, different patterns are going to work with each other. I'm not very fashion forward either, so maybe people who are, you know, better at dressing themselves would be better at putting patterns together for tattoos, you know. But you know, like, you know, there's rules like no jackets and stripes, that sort of thing, you know. So, but yeah, try a little bit of variety, I guess. And nothing so crazy that it makes it hard to see what's going on, you know, because sometimes stuff will send you cross-eyed if you make it too complicated, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I really like what you're doing with the pattern, so really looking forward to seeing more of that in your work. I also like the green dragon, like you mentioned, also looks it fits in this context. All the colors fit. I also, you know, you mentioned the purple and yellow is always a good combination. So that also looks pretty cool.
Yeah, we try and use complementary colors. You know, I already knew the dragon was green because I did that first. So that's why I put the red in there, and then the brown is not going to really clash with anything. And then, the yellow and the purple sort of thing, like they complement each other. So you kind of think about it like, it's like, I kind of thought about it like two pairs of complementary colors, green and red, and then purple and yellow, and then the brown and the gray. It's like just everything else. Because those aren't going to, bash up with the other colors too much.
Yeah. And, there's like this minor thing that probably, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people like it, but maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. But I really like what you did with the tassels. Like, I don't know, I just like the brown tassels in there. I don't know, I just find them cool. So
yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was probably just didn't want to make them red. Could have done them grey maybe, but I was happy with the brown. I think I appreciate that. As felt like a bit of a risky move, but when I did it, I was happy with it.
Yeah, cool. This is great. I think it's a great piece to end about your works. Of course, I encourage everybody to go to Dan's Instagram. There's a lot of really good work. I had a hard time picking just 4, so really a lot of good work being done there. So
thank you. Right. That's very kind.
Let me stop sharing. I think Dan, I got 3 more questions for you.
Chilling.
Yeah. Just stay here. Cool. Yeah. So kind of like rewinding or maybe not rewinding the clock, I was gonna say, but I'm wondering what have been some of your bigger influences in your tattooing career and your style?
Yeah, I'd say I've had a few really, really good mentors, people who have really gone out of their way to teach me. I mentioned them before, but John Pinder, he spent a good 1.5 years of his life every day, like teaching, and he was a very, very, very good mentor. Sometimes, because I'm in the position now where I'm sometimes training other people, so it's like sometimes your style of teaching doesn't always match that person's style of learning, and I felt like we had a good synergy where things that he taught me, even if they didn't always make sense straight away, they rooted in my brain, like a seed, and would grow into something later. And like little sound bites would kind of come back at me when I reached a situation where it was relevant. And I'm always very, very grateful for him for taking the time, because I know now it's not easy to teach someone, and it can be very, very frustrating sometimes. And I was probably a very, very frustrating person as an apprentice. I was really young, Maybe I was better off. I was better at pretending to be more mature than I was, but I was still pretty immature and stuff at the time, I think. So that kind of made it easy for him. He did a great job, and it really set me up to be where I am now. So also Caesar Mesquita in England. He had a shop in London, but he was living in Norwich, and that's where we were spending most of our time together. He's one of the most hardworking people I've ever met, and I learned a lot about, obviously, like building machines and stuff from him, and how to conduct business and just how to work hard. If people haven't met Caesar, I don't think, be able to fathom someone who works that hard, cares that much about what he's doing. He's like really, really changed my life as well, and taught me a lot. Influences in terms of my work, I can't not mention Jasmine Austin. She actually came and worked here in our shop for about 3 days and then retired forever. So I don't know what that says about us, but I love her. She's so good. She was like light years ahead of what everyone else was doing in the city when she moved here. And it really pushed tattooing forward in Perth for all of us, because we were just so far behind. It was ridiculous. There's a lot of other people I could probably mention who've given me their time and a lot of their info, but you know how it is. You can't go through and mention every single person. Yeah. But yeah, I do appreciate them all. Because you only know what you know, sort of thing, and you only know what people teach you. You can't you can't do it all by yourself. There's a lot of people involved in a journey that, takes 15 years to get to where we're at now, and hopefully ongoing,
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. I really like, your humbleness and how you appreciate, of course, everyone that's contributed. That's great. Awesome. So this next question, I think I've heard already snippets of it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your view on the Horishi or the tattooer and client bond while the work's being done, and then once you're actually complete?
Sure. It's unique, even in tattooing, in my experience. Getting someone through a back piece or a suit, it's almost like sleight of hand or a magic trick or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I think any tattoo will tell you how many backs they've started, but how many they've finished. You know what I mean? It's like most people who started don't finish them. And it's like, you need to dial in every part of the experience, in my experience anyway, to get people from the start to the finish. Because, you might be talking about 60 hours of tattooing over months or years. I don't think you're going to be very successful if you're not also very enthusiastic about what you're doing. And you need to make it easy for them. You need to have. I'm fairly booked up right now, but once I book someone in, they'll have appointments as regularly as they want them until we're finished. And I try and make it easy for them to book in, and don't let them leave without another appointment if they want it. So I think obviously I'm not going to hold them down and force them to book in and get their shit finished. Some people do start something, do a few sessions and disappear, and that'll probably happen forever. Happens to everybody, but things like the shop should be comfortable for them. The price not prohibitively expensive, where like a regular person couldn't finish a tattoo in a timely manner. Make it convenient for them to book. Like getting tattooed is not the most fun experience, so make it fun where you can. Make it so they enjoy coming in. And I've heard you talking about it with other people, is the bond after. Because we do kind of you get used to making like really close friends with these people, and then you finish and it's gone. They're gone forever all the time. Especially if I do have a lot of clients who've had sleeve done, disappeared for 3-4 years, and they come back, get the back done, sort of thing. But you finish a suit, that guy's out of space. He's never coming back. And why would he? But you just accept that as just part of the journey. It still is a professional relationship. It's not a traditional friendship. We can be friends, but it's more of how would I explain it? Like you make, for example, with your coworkers, you make really good friends with your coworkers. Some of them might become real friends, but for a lot of them, it's just because you're in the same place all the time. And it's like, if everyone was wandering around out and about, you may walk straight past that person, sort of thing. And it doesn't take away from how good the relationship was when you had it, just because you don't keep up afterwards. You get used to that part of the job for sure. The final goodbye. I always feel it always feels a little bit anticlimactic. Like we should, set off a confetti cannon or like run through the shop, like slapping each other high fives and stuff. But normally it's just like the end of every session. You go, all right, thanks for everything. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you around. Sometimes the relationship as well is specific to the environment. Like I might see a client later out somewhere at a restaurant or something like that, and in the shop we just get straight into bantering sort of thing out. Somewhere else is like we're just a tattooer and a client. You know what I mean? It's like we kind of know each other, but it's not a personal relationship for them. It's not realistically for us either. It's a work relationship that is still special, but it is what it is. It's a separate thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. I was thinking about other examples, psychologists and the clients and the barber, right? Barbershop talk and stuff like that. Right.
Sure.
So
you can love the time you spend with people and appreciate them and like them, and still, not be close personal friends. Close personal friends is a different group, and for different reasons. I think there's different dynamic. There's no exchange of money, exchange of services involved. You're just friends because you're friends, and it's just a different thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Professional boundaries. So cool. All right. So last question that I always ask everyone because I'm genuinely curious. But what's next for Dan?
So I'm in the process of I'm trying to learn Japanese. I do lessons 5 days of the week, and we keep doing that. I'm going to Japan this coming March. If anyone wants to get tattooed in Japan, by the way, in March, hit me up because I don't know how I'm going to go getting clientele. I haven't tried yet, but I want to start traveling there regularly and try and learn what I can, especially more about the body. But just I'm always trying to learn more. So that'll be next on my agenda. It's just traveling, just trying to learn, trying to find out where my shortcomings are, and improve on that. Just do the best work I can for my clients, hopefully. I feel like the language barrier has always been something where I'm just like, oh man, I can't do that because I can't get past that barrier, and it's impolite of me to go over there not speaking their language and ask. So in a way I kind of feel a bit silly for not starting earlier learning a language, because it's not. It's a big job, but it's not awesome. And plenty of people do it the other way. Learn English for the sake of work over here. So I don't understand why I can't go the other way, and so that's what I intend to do.
Yeah.
Now that I've said it on the internet, I stick to it, I guess.
That's awesome. No, that's really hardcore commitment. 5 days a week. That's good.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping it'll get me there. I think that this trip in March will be my first little test to see how I'm actually doing, because it's very safe talking to my teacher. Everything, the conversation's kind of on rails. I know where it's going, sort of thing. And then you'd be thrust into the real world, real conversation. And we'll see. But even after I get back, I'll keep studying and try and get to where I want to be. At least it's functional, and then to start traveling more and try and work towards fluency. But yeah, that's a goal of mine, sure. And hopefully spin that into more knowledge in tattooing, which is the ultimate end goal. Build some relationships, with people who I might have been limited before by my language.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, that's awesome. And, I really appreciate how I'm sure also a lot of other Horishi and clients appreciate the fact that you're really, really trying, like five times a week. That's pretty crazy. So really, learn the language and then go there and be respectful and go through the hoops and all that stuff. So that's pretty awesome and really cool to hear.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I know you're on a time crunch. This has been fantastic talk. I know a lot of people are going to enjoy. So thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a lot of success.
Thanks very much for having me, man. I really appreciate you reaching out and asking. I've never done anything like this, so I was a little bit nervous, but I really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you very much.
If you would like to learn more about the world of traditional Japanese tattooing, follow the Waboripedia Instagram page, hit like and subscribe in the YouTube and Spotify channels, and stay tuned for the meanings and stories behind Japanese tattooing, Horishi interviews, and more.